I think I'm live. I'm outside right now in front of Lexus TX. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm sorry I'm doing this unannounced, so you might not be even be aware that I'm trying to do a live stream. I'm trying to see if I can see people's comment, which I cannot for some reason see. So let me see if there's a way to get you guys to let me see your comments. Again, if you're here, oh, I can see the message now. Right, so Sanjeev, hi. Can you hear me okay? Can you let me know if you can hear me okay before I go too far? Okay, you guys can hear me okay? Let me know. It's a bit windy outside, and I've got the wind muff here with me. All right, let me know if you can hear me okay. I can see the hi, hello, but we can hear you? Okay, perfect. All right, it's not too unclear, I hope. Okay, good. I sounded good. Excellent. So I thought I'll do something different today. Since I just came back from a Lexus GX driving event, as you know, I've already uploaded the review. But I'm driving the TX this week, and it kind of prompted me to think about how would you decide between the TX and the GX, or for that matter, among the three models, TX, GX, and the Land Cruiser. Indeed, you could even add the Grand Highlander to that, or even add the existing 4Runner. But there's so many choices now within the SUV lineup for Toyota and Lexus. How do you decide? So that's what I want to get to. And I'll try to keep an eye on the questions on my phone. So just keep shooting me some questions. But until I see some questions, I'm going to just go through basically what I think are some of the key topics in regard to the TX versus the GX, first of all, but also extending my comments to the Land Cruiser as well. So a few things to keep in mind. You have to kind of remember that the GX and the Land Cruiser are both together in one side of the equation because they are both body on the frame vehicles. And even though the names are different and the brands are different, they're literally identical. Same body, in fact, all the sheet metals are the same, very similar suspension system, built in the same Tara factory. Just the engine and the powertrains are obviously different. Land Cruiser only having 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine with hybrid, and then the GX have a 3.5 liter or 3.4 liter twin turbo V6 engine with no hybrid, and there will be a hybrid version available later on, perhaps next year, and it will likely have the same engine as the Land Cruiser. So the powertrains are quite different, and then of course on the GX you can get electronic KDSS versus on the Land Cruiser you get a manual engagement and disengagement of the stabilizer bars. But I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And then you have this one here, which is a Lexus TX, and this one shares the basic platform with Grand Highlander, both built in the US at the Princeton, Indiana plant in the US. We have some people walking by. This is a live stream, so we're always going to have someone walk by. Anyway, so let me keep on going. So the TX and the Grand Highlander on the other side of the equation, both unitized body. Sorry, I'm just doing a live stream. That's okay. Yeah. Anyway, this is live stream, so it's okay. Anything can happen with us. All right, so let me go back. So TX, don't forget, and the Grand Highlander, both on the same platform, built in Princeton, Indiana factory. It is the first time that factory is building a Lexus, and so it's going to be interesting to see. So the factories are different as well, but the main thing is that the twin Grand Highlander and Lexus TX are both unitized body, not body on the frame, and therefore they fundamentally feel different between the GX Land Cruiser and the TX / Grand Highlander. I know Lexus would prefer that I don't refer to the TX and the Grand Highlander in the same sentence. They want to make sure that customers understand there's a differentiation, and same for the GX and Land Cruiser. But from an engineering perspective, they're very similar. There's some difference in powertrain because, for example, the TX is available with a plug-in hybrid with the V6 engine, 3.5 liter V6, which surprised us, whereas the Grand Highlander not available in the plug-in format. So there's quite a bit of difference between and among all those models. So those are some of the highlights. So let me see if I can begin to answer some of your questions. So yeah, I got some of the people that are my regular viewers coming on board. So thank you for that. Jimmy, hi, thank you so much. Singh, thank you as well. And Mike, you're also on board. Thank you for that. And Brian as well. So lots of my regular viewers are online. So if you can give me a thumbs up, that'll be helpful just to push the video a little bit forward in analytics. Try to get more people to come in so I can answer more questions. What was the biggest surprise driving the GX? So that's from Jay Smoth. I'm not sure your first name. But the biggest surprise is that it's so different from the current GX, but very much like the current LX. In fact, it is so much like the LX 600 that I see the new GX as more like a twin model or cheaper, more affordable version of LX, rather than looking at it as a replacement for the old GX. The old GX and the new GX is so different, I don't even think you can say that they're related to each other anymore. They're not related anymore. Whereas the GX and the LX, so that's the GX 550 and the LX 600, shares almost everything the same frame, not quite the same body, not built in the same factory, but same engine, same powertrain. And you know what, when you drive it, the two are so similar. You can think of the new GX as a bargain priced LX, if you like the LX, that is. But don't think of the new GX as reborn GX, because the old GX have such a different feel with a V8 engine, but also with the hydraulic power steering that has a really good road feedback. The new GX has a lighter steering feel, much like the LX, with not much of a sensation, but very comfortable and so forth. So I'll answer a few more questions, and I'm going to talk about the TX because I have this vehicle right behind me as well. So the question also from Jimmy, why don't they have the KDSS? So it looks like you guys are more interested in the GX than the TX, but that's okay. I'll answer as much as I can. So why don't they have the KDSS system with the GX 550 on the two trim levels, on the premium and luxury? But as you may or may not know, the eKDSS or electric KDSS is only available on the Overtrail, standard on Overtrail. So you kind of have to remember that the KDSS, the old version, was a hydraulic-based one that's on standard on all the models. And I know many of you guys are questioning why they didn't even put that on the premium and luxury version of the GX. But honestly, it doesn't make much of a difference in the normal driving. Like on the city driving, on the highway driving, it will make some difference if you go some serious off-roading, because what the KDSS does, regardless of the system itself, is to allow for larger articulation of the wheels. So when you come to the wheel section here and you're going through some really rough off-roading and one of the wheels are off the ground, then KDSS, if it's hydraulic, will try to balance out and free up the articulation. But on the eKDSS, it will actually disengage the stabilizer bar, free up the whole wheel section, either front or back, and then you get a few inches more of articulation. So that makes it much easier to do some serious off-roading. But when you drive them on a regular road, you're not going to tell the difference because the stabilizer bars are not getting engaged or disengaged simply because of the fact that it's not required during the drive. And so I guess that's probably why they decide not to offer any form of KDS on anything other than Overtrail. So, and then Richard said, should we wait for the Lexus TZ or TZ over the TX? Well, TZ or TZ will be the electric cars. So you have to decide if you really want the electric car or gasoline car. I still like the gasoline cars better, or hybrid, or even a plug-in hybrid. So that's something only you will have to decide. Oh, Mike is asking, am I buying the 2018 Lexus LX 570 that I happened to drive last week at one of the dealers? And I haven't decided yet because it's, how many years old is that? It's almost 6 years old. Low mileage, great vehicle, but it feels a lot like a GX, the one I have, surprisingly so. And I'm more interested in buying the Lexus LC 500 than right now the LX 570, even though all these models are totally different from each other. So haven't decided that one yet. Okay, so there is, what else? What's after here? Let me get back to a little bit about the TX before I go to any more questions. I'm gonna do my quick check here because I know some people are a little bit concerned about this TX being built in the US, but it is built to the Lexus standard. It doesn't matter if it's built in the US or Canada or Japan. The Lexus standard will always be different from the Toyota standard. So this one is actually really good. It's 3.9 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter gap. If you know, you guys know that I love doing this. And actually the panels are perfectly aligned. It's pretty cold here. My hands are freezing here, but 3.5 millimeter, 3.9. But the gasket is a little bit stuck inside for some reason, that one door. And 3.5. So the gaps are actually pretty good. The panel alignment is excellent. I do want to stress that if you want the smoothest, most refined, and also the quietest feel, especially over highway, forget the GX. Forget the GX or Land Cruiser, because it's not going to be ever as good as this one here. This one being a unitized body. I drove this to Seattle and back last couple of days, which is about 300 kilometers or 200 miles each way. And you know what? I kind of fell in love with it. I wasn't too crazy about the TX when I first drove it as part of a press event, but when I have it for a week, and this is a production version, not prototype version, and I drove it for extensive time, it's surprisingly refined. It's really phenomenal. And the GX, especially with the 22-inch wheels on the top of the line model, that thing is pretty firm, a little bit jittery over the road that I drove in Arizona. So given the choice of TX or GX, if I'm not going off-roading, and I want the most refined, quietest, smoothest ride on the highway and city roads, the TX is going to win over a GX, not to mention that it is cheaper. But it is not body on the frame. It's not built in Japan. Not that that matters all that much these days. So if you want more of a true GX heritage or Land Cruiser heritage, being built in Japan, body on the frame, off-road capable vehicle, then of course I would still go for GX, especially the Overtrail, and that's the model I still plan to buy. We'll have to figure out what that looks like. So let me come back to the question now. One person asked if the Lexus LBX will come to the North America. Not that I know of. Currently they're saying no, but I think it will be an ideal vehicle because I think it's a really good size, good priced vehicle. But you know what we're going to do is we're going to actually hop inside because it's a bit noisy here. I don't have too much to talk about the outside of the TX. So I'm going to hop in. And that will give us a little bit more warmth, first of all, and quieter. And I can concentrate better without too many people walking by. All right, so let me see if I can continue to see what's happening with the questions here. After driving the new GX, would you buy the new gen or last gen for on-road use? Well, that's a good question. So as you guys know, I have a 23 GX, and the 24 GX is better in every possible way. There's no question that it is a better vehicle in terms of performance. It's a better acceleration, a little bit more fuel efficient, not by a lot, but still a little bit more. It has all the advanced features for safety, technology, bigger screen, all that stuff. So if you love gadgets and you want the latest equipment and features, obviously 24 GX is better. But in terms of driving feel, the driving character, well, the 23 GX has the beautiful 4.6 liter V8 engine, which is very a natural feel, beautiful engine. But more than that, it has hydraulic power steering for the steering mechanism. So it doesn't, let me just put this sound aside here so I don't get too much sun in my face. So it has a really good progressive feel, very natural, a little bit heavier steering feel, which I way prefer compared to the new GX, which is really light steering, much like the LX. Again, new GX is a baby LX. So given the choice, I'm gonna stick with the GX. I plan to change one of them to the new GX. but definitely not both of them because I really like the 23 GX. Also, just coming back to TX, keep in mind that TX is available with a plug-in hybrid, and I've driven that plug-in hybrid, and I think that's the sweet model for the TX. It's a beautiful vehicle, 3.5 liter V6 engine combined with plug-in hybrid system, and we cannot get plug-in hybrid system on the GX, not even the hybrid right now. So from that perspective, once again, the TX has some advantage. Let me continue to look at some of the question. Looking to get, Steve saying, looking to get 2024 4Runner before 4-liter V6 is gone. What do you think? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, the 5th gen 4Runner is a keeper, right? I think we all know that the new version is coming. I don't know when, but I suspect the announcement will come in the next 3 to 6 months with a new model arriving maybe late this year, early next year. And I'm like 95% sure, never 100%, but 95% sure that it will mirror what's happening with Tacoma. So 2.4 liter turbo with and without hybrid, and new body, new frame, new system, all that stuff. And if you don't want that, and you want the naturally aspirated 4-liter V6 engine, then with a hydraulic part, yeah, definitely buy the current 4Runner, which is also built in Tara factory. People are asking me whether the new 4Runner, the new gen, would the manufacturing be moved to Mexico. No one knows that. There's nothing official. But I don't think so. I think the new 4Runner is in such a way. What can I say? What am I trying to say? I think the new 4Runner being built in Japan is such an important part of that attribute and theme and character that I think they will keep the 4Runner in the Tara factory. That's my guess anyway. So what else is going on? Mike is asking about if they have TX with a plug-in hybrid V6, why don't they have a TX with a V6 with non-plug-in hybrid? So just a plain V6. Well, you already know the answer to that one, Mike. Toyota is quickly, strategically moving to 4-cylinder engine from V6 and then V8 to V6. So, not downgrading, but not even downsizing, but what's the right word? Recalibrating, I guess, the powertrain to have more efficient engine, not just for the purpose of efficiency, but also don't forget emission standard, especially in Europe, is very stringent now. It's very difficult to achieve. So they just have to keep on switching to smaller engine to meet some of the requirement for that. There are many other restrictions coming forth in Europe and other parts of the world that just makes it difficult to have bigger engine as a standard equipment. Do you think, Danny's asking, do you think Grand Highlander will have plug-in hybrid version in the near future? I don't think so, because Lexus is always going to want to have distinction, but at some point all Toyota and Lexus models should have a plug-in hybrid if they are not going to become electric. So I would say still possible, but highly doubt it will happen in this model iteration. Maybe the next version of it might be possible. The quality so far has been good on this TX. One of you guys are asking about quality. So far, like, I didn't hear any squeaks or rattle. Like, it's super solid. Little bit of hard plastic here, which I'm not too crazy about. But the basic fit, the basic quality, NVH, that's noise, vibrations, and harshness, are actually excellent on this TX. Again, this is built in Princeton, Indiana factory, and it's being excellent. How do you expect the Land Cruiser on-road ride quality will compare to the impression on GX? We don't know that, obviously. None of us have driven the Land Cruiser. But what I can say is that the new GX in the luxury trim with the 22-inch wheels and tires are not ideal. I'm really not sure why they did that, why they just didn't go with keep it 20 or 21, because the ride is compromised. It's smooth, on a smooth road, but the minute the road gets a little bit bumpy, you can feel every imperfection on the road. And I don't think it's an ideal tire combination for a luxury trim, which is supposed to give you the best of all the luxury features. It goes against the character of that vehicle, I think personally. Whereas the 20-inch GX is perfect. The premium version with the 20-inch felt just perfect on the road. It felt perfect on the also on the bumpy road and over trail, even more comfortable, right? It's very soft because it's meant for off-roading. I'm gonna just change the camera angle a little bit so that it might be easier for my assistant who's holding a camera. So I don't know if you wanna put it against anything. No, not really. Maybe she can put it on top of the dash or something. Open the, yeah. Just so that she doesn't have to hold it for another 3 hours. No, just kidding. We won't be doing it for 3 hours. Okay, so camera is gonna shake a little bit while we're making some adjustments. Sorry about that, guys. Any update on 6th Gen 4Runner? I'm trying to talk about the Lexus TX, but you guys want to talk about other models, which is fine. No update, nothing new. I just came back from Japan, you guys know, a couple of weeks ago. Nothing new, but I still think that the new 4Runner will be announced this year to be manufactured late this year, early next year. I'm pretty sure in terms of my prediction, nothing official from Toyota. And I have been pretty accurate, as you guys know. So that's going to be interesting. But I also think that Toyota might introduce the Land Cruiser FJ, which is the smaller baby version of the new 4Runner, if you want to call it, think of it that way. Japanese media and Japanese magazines are still predicting that will be announced this year as well. We're not 100% sure if that will come to North America. It should. It'll be a hot seller if it did. And so we could end up with a new 4Runner this year, the new Land Cruiser FJ, or let's call it baby Land Cruiser. We could end up with both of those models, which will be a hot item, hot ticket. And that could be quite fascinating. I'm almost speechless in terms of how many new models Toyota and Lexus are introducing in terms of SUV, but that's where the market is going. Some people are asking about Lexus LS. That's a bit off topic right now, but have I heard anything about new LS? No, nothing. I think LS is going to go on for a little while. There's very little demand for the LS, even though I loved it. I drove it in Japan for 3 days. I drove many kilometers or miles on that car, driving from Tokyo to not Tara factory, sorry, but Motomachi factory, and that was quite a trip, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought that was a beautiful vehicle. And in case you didn't know, Lexus LC 500, the sports car, and the LS share the same platform. They're based on same platform, not the same engine because there's no V8 in the LS anymore, but same platform and chassis. So no surprise that the LS actually felt pretty good on the road, and actually was kind of fun to drive. All right, what else here? Saw sneak peek of hidden 4Runner this afternoon on Facebook, but hard to tell. I don't think it will be anything official from Toyota. I think it will be too early. So, but maybe there are a lot of people, including myself, that have come up with a speculation for the new 4Runner in terms of design. So you might be seeing that. Car and Driver spotted the all-new 4Runner yesterday in Michigan. All right, interesting. I haven't seen that one yet, so I'll have to go and look for that. And that's very possible and in alignment with the timing that we're talking about. And the reason why you might see in Michigan, because I also saw the new Tacoma in Michigan last year, is because Toyota has R&D, a big research and development center in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I lived very close to that for a couple of years when I used to work as an engineer for General Motors many decades ago. Okay, so what's going on here? Alex said that he owns a Grand Highlander hybrid with a hybrid max engine and really like it, and gets a good fuel economy. So that's great. Oh, my assistant was able to pull up the sneak potential photograph of the 4Runner Spied. It's again really well covered. I'm gonna have to look into that and maybe update my rendering if that is indeed a 4Runner. So Alex, thank you for that. Do the TX and GX require premium fuel? Yeah, so the things you should be aware is that all new Lexus model in general require premium to give you the extra power and the torque that the engine can provide when you have a high octane gasoline. But you don't have to. You can put regular gas in any car that's asking for premium. All it does is just lower the power a little bit less efficient also, keep that in mind. But you don't have to do it because there's a NOx sensor and other sensors that will automatically adjust if there is less octane in the gasoline. And in case you didn't know that, it doesn't break your warranty or anything like that. But you do get less efficient fuel consumption, so it might not be worth. You might not be saving any money putting a regular gas. Let me see. One who is asking about TX main competitor as MDX. I would say so. And they're actually somewhat similar in terms of driving feel, but of course they're quite different overall. MDX doesn't have touch infotainment system, which I think is changing now in the facelift. And I think the TX feels a little bit lighter, a bit lighter, and maybe the MDX feels a bit sportier, especially in the Type S format. Super Saker is asking about the new V8 that could come back in Lexus in 2026. So that is a possibility. Japanese magazine, which is called the Best Car Magazine, is predicting that they're very certain that Lexus will have a twin turbo V8, not just a V8, a twin turbo V8 4-liter for a yet unnamed super sports car, which will be a replacement for what used to be the LFA. So they're calling it LFR or LFA2. I'm a little bit doubtful about that, but with Akio Toyota pushing in the background to focus on sports cars and performance, anything is possible right now, and that would be a super exciting news. But they're also predicting that there will be Lexus RC and Lexus LC can be combined together to create a new model in 2027 as well, eliminating and canceling the current LC500 with a V8, which is a sure sign that I have to buy the LC500 before it's canceled, before it's discontinued. All right, so let me think. What else am I missing? There's a whole bunch of questions here. Have I visited the new Nissan plant in Tochigi? I've been to a number of Nissan plants. I think there's three different ones that I visited in the past, which is the Yokohama plant and one in just outside Tokyo. But I have not been to Tochigi plant, which I think is the one that produces the Nissan GTR. I have been trying to get in there, but I haven't been to that factory yet. I don't know the wheel offset for the new GX Overtrail. All those informations are not released yet. Another question, would you say TX is a Lexus version of the new Century? Well, that's interesting. That's a good question, actually, because TX is the Lexus version of the Grand Highlander, but the new Century SUV, not the sedan, but the new Century SUV is indeed based on TX/Grand Highlander platform. In fact, for that matter, the plug-in hybrid engine in the new TX, I'm not driving that right now because I'm driving a TX 350, which is a 3.5 V6 with a plug-in hybrid. It's also being used in the new Century. Trying to make a call onto my phone while we're still doing this. Obviously, the new Century SUV is far different from this TX because it's much more expensive, literally hand-built at its own exclusive plant in Motomachi. But good to know that the TX is good enough that the engineer have actually based a new Century SUV on this platform, this plug-in hybrid engine. And so I thought that was actually quite an interesting thing and sort of a confirmation that the TX is actually quite good. And I really do think this TX is way better than what I remember driving it when I had it at the press event because that was a prototype. This is the production model, and I think it is actually really quiet, really smooth, underrated from my experience. And but on the other hand, it is very similar to Grand Highlander, but with some key differences too. But just to clarify, the Century doesn't have a 3-row. They sacrificed the 3rd row to make the 2nd row super big because it's a chauffeur-driven vehicle. So it's not the same vehicle, but the platform underneath, which is the most important part of a vehicle from engineering perspective, is the same. All right, so there's some other question that I'm missing. Sorry if I'm not answering every question. It's just simply because it's hard to read on the iPhone here. Where are we now? Okay, you guys are still talking about the Century. Is that right? We're kind of deviating from this question, but that's okay. So just to clarify, the new Century is SUV. It's based on this platform, which is a TNGA-K platform, which is actually the same platform used in many different vehicles, including the current Highlander and the new Grand Highlander, all based on the TNGA-K platform. And so, what do we mean by platform? Well, that's everything underneath a vehicle, and the basic architecture that has the engine, the powertrain, suspension are all attached to the bottom part of the vehicle, and that particular design is similar, not the same. And if it's similar, it just makes it easier for them to engineer a new vehicle out of the same platform because you don't have to redesign everything. You can always redesign the body that's on top of the platform because it doesn't affect the powertrain, transmission, or suspension. And so it's much easier and faster to design a new model with a new body, but on the same platform, which is really what Toyota is very good at, is to keep the same platform, create many, many different new models out of the same platform. Okay, am I missing some more question here? What do I think of the TMC launching the Century brand globally above Lexus? So yeah, we are hearing that Toyota is doing, trying to push the Century above Lexus even as a standalone brand. We don't know quite sure what that means yet, but it makes sense because Akio has also pushed Crown as somewhat of a standalone brand, like a sub-brand. So no surprise, Century could be pushed above to compete with the Bentleys and Rolls-Royce. And that would be very interesting, and they can pull it off. When I saw the new Century SUV in the GRMN version in Tokyo just a month ago, less than a month ago, it looked fantastic. The quality of it, the engineering of the vehicle, everything looks like something that's worthy of a purchase against something very expensive like a Bentley and Rolls-Royce. So that could be really interesting. All right, let me see. If the Land Cruiser doesn't get TRD trims, will Lexus offer the GX in a TRD Pro equivalent? So the TRD Pro equivalent of the GX is the Overtrail. We didn't have Overtrail before in the previous version of the GX, so that's new for 2024. And it is essentially, actually in some way, it's better than the TRD Pro version. What could have been a TRD Pro version of a Land Cruiser, which we don't have either, because of the EKDSS, which I mentioned earlier. EKDSS is better than the passive KDSS we had before, because passive KDSS simply works when they see an imbalance of the wheel movement during the off-roading. But with EKDSS, it's actually measuring and figuring out what to do using computerized method. And it is physically engaging or disengaging the stabilizer bar so that when you disengage stabilizer bar, for example, you free up the wheels. They're basically on their own, not tied to the stabilizer bar. And so they can move up and down much more. And therefore, the articulation is substantially more, some 3 to 4 inches more than without EKDSS. So you get the EKDSS in the Overtrail version of GX. Plus, the GX Overtrail has a center and a rear differential, but not the front. And so, really, it's actually probably the most convincing overlanding, off-road capable vehicle from Lexus ever. This is the true deal, the real deal. And the GX Overtrail is also surprisingly comfortable on even a regular road and highway roads. So I love that model. It's the only model I would consider in terms of purchase. And maybe in a few months I might end up with one. We'll see. What's the other question? Do I? Okay, we're deviating a little bit more from the SUV, but one person asking about the ES. Is it a good buy for a brand new car to keep for the last 10 years? Yeah, ES is beautifully made. I think it's understated and underappreciated. But don't forget, some ES are built in Japan and some ES are built in Kentucky. Nothing wrong with ES built in Kentucky, but if you buy the one that's built in Japan, it just have that one more level, I guess, of assurance that people with a lot of experience is building that ES. So that's something to look forward to. Look at the VIN number. The first letter or number of the VIN, if it said J, is built in Japan. If it's built in the US, it could be a couple of different numbers, usually 5 will give you indication of where it's built. And again, nothing wrong with a US built ES, but the Japan built ES has a beautiful, beautiful quality. Okay, what else? Lexus, people like the LS. I'm getting more questions about the LS. Lexus LS 500H, in which year could be the last year for LS? Oh, wow. I'm going to assume that the LS will get discontinued the same time as Lexus LC because they're both based on the same platform. So my guess is 2026, maybe 2027. So we've got maybe 2 years left. That's my best guess. But 2025 model year could be last year as well. It's a bit hard to say because there's always a demand for LS from Japan. But perhaps they're hoping that Crown will maybe take some of that capacity. But you can't really compare Crown to LS. I think LS is still pretty unique because of the quality and so forth. Okay, one more question. Speaking of the LC250 and the Prado, will there be a possibility of a GR Sport LC250? LC300 has that. Yeah, that's a good question. So the LC Land Cruiser 300 series, which is not sold in North America anymore, but sold in many other parts of the world, has a GR version of it, a GR version with different design, with upgraded suspension. But I think the GR brand is not pushed very much here in North America. It is much more appreciated and therefore emphasized in Japan and Asia. So I'm going to say that I don't think we're going to get a GR version of the Land Cruiser, at least for North America. That's for 250 series. But I think there's a good chance that maybe Japan will get it in a few years for their market. Does the new TX or GX incorporate hands-free driving? So I actually drove this Lexus TX yesterday and day before to Seattle and back, and it is almost hands-free. Much like many other autonomous cruise control, you have to put a little bit of weight on the steering to let the computer know that your hands are actually touching the steering wheel. And it will remind you I think about roughly every 30 seconds or so. If you take your hands off, then it'll tell you that you need to put your hands back on the steering and add a little bit of resistance. I know some people try to get away by hanging water bottle and stuff like that. That's pretty dangerous. Would never do that. But it's almost hands-free. Certainly very easy car to drive, to and from Seattle, 3 hours each way, absolutely no problem. Cruises like so smooth, like a Lexus LS in many ways. And it was absolutely hassle-free because I just have to put my one hand on the steering, put a little bit of pressure on it. Otherwise, it pretty well steered all the way to and from Seattle. So I thought that was a pretty exciting adaptive cruise control, and it is on the GX as well. What else? So keep the questions coming. Has the frame rust issue been resolved? I think the frame issue that had on some of the Toyota models, like the older Tundras had it, some older 4Runners had it. That's all gone. have a different kind of application for it's not undercoating, but it's, basically a special paint they apply on the frame to prevent it from rusting. And those have gotten much thicker and additional layers. So I don't quite believe in undercoating unless it's done right, because they tend to peel off after a few years. All right. Yeah. So, question about the regular gas again. You can put regular gas, non-premium gas on any cars. Asking for premium, you just have to remember that the power goes down a bit, and the fuel economy goes down a little bit, like 3 to 5%, maybe a little bit more than that. So you might not save money putting a regular gas if the fuel economy goes down a few percentage points. You have to calculate to see if that makes sense. But you can put regular gas, and the engine and the NOx sensor and a variety of different calibration system in the engine will automatically adjust for gasoline with less octane rating. It's not recommended, but it can be done. Okay, so lots of more question. What am I missing here? Mark Coopers, yes, that's right. Overtrail is the TRD Pro version of the version of the GX. I would say that it's even more than the 400 TRD Pro, because the current 400 TRD Pro has hydraulic-based passive KDSS. KDSS stands for Kinetic Dynamic Suspension System, but the Overtrail has the electric or electronic KDSS, which engages and disengages the stabilizer bars, and it has far better articulation. It's a better system overall. Okay, where are we? Hands. Do you think you'll do more meetup in Vancouver? Oh, I would love to do that. You guys let me know in the comments. If you are based in Vancouver, let me know. Maybe when the weather is warmer and I end up with either the new GX or maybe even a new Lexus LC 500, we'd love to get together with you guys and just hang out and catch up. And that'll be kind of fun to do. And even if you're not in Vancouver, but you're within driving distance, come and visit. So we'll definitely have to do that sometime this spring or early summer. Okay, when is the LC 250 coming out? Well, that's a good question. I think they delayed it a little bit. We were supposed to get it, I think, April, May timeframe, but from what I hear, it's pushed back a few months. So I don't think you're going to see an actual delivery of Land Cruiser until late summer, maybe the fall. But I do believe that the new GX is coming sometime April, May timeframe. But everything could be pushed back a little bit based on supply chain issues and just general delivery issues that we have these days. All right, what is the manufacturer life expectancy on the 400? You mean when the current 400 will be replaced by the new 400? I think this year is when they will announce the 6th gen new 400, and that new version, I think, my prediction is that it will come out sometime end of this year, early 2025, and then the 5th gen 400 that we all love so much will be gone for good. So you might want to try to pick one up or buy one before it's too late. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm trying to get to as much of the questions as possible. Mike, yeah, you're right. 400 TRD Pro, you're right, doesn't have a KDSS suspension because it has the Fox suspension. That is absolutely true. So my mistake on that one. Lexus Chen Chila said that you have seen the Lexus LM and the LBX in Japan. Yeah, I think the LBX is a beautiful vehicle based on Corolla, but in Tokyo a few weeks ago when I was there, they showed off a LBX with a GR Corolla engine or GR Yaris engine. Oh my goodness, that would be a killer car. I would love to get my hands on Lexus LBX with a GR Corolla engine. That would be, I think, a fascinating car. But the LM, which is a luxury minivan, beautiful vehicle as well. All right. So how long have I been going for? Have I been going for almost an hour? Maybe not quite. I'm going to begin to wrap up. So let me just see if I can answer a few more questions. Again, I was trying something different by doing kind of like a review, live streaming review of this LX of this TX. That was my initial intent, but I know you guys have many questions, which I end up answering. But I do want to just stress the fact that if you don't need body on the frame, you don't need to go through off-roading courses, and you want best value with the smoothest running gear and a really refined feel, I would pick the TX over the GX. It's cheaper. It can do light off-roading, not true off-roading, but I found the 2.4 turbo cylinder engine, the 4-cylinder engine, to be way better than I remember it during the press event. It feels refined. It's not super fast, but it's fast enough. I still think that 2.4 hybrid or the plug-in hybrid is even better. Sorry, the plug-in hybrid on the TX is actually 3.5 V6. I think those are better models, but the TX is, I think, a little bit underappreciated right now compared to GX, because everyone is talking about the GX, but TX is actually a better SUV, more space, more room, cheaper, smoother. Even the steering wheel and the handling is a bit better, because unitized body typically handles better than body on the frame. The only reason why I wouldn't buy over TX is because, over the GX I should say, is because I like body on frame. It's because I do go off-roading, and I love the over-trail version of the GX. So my heart goes to that model. But if I was providing recommendation for general families who just want 3-row SUV and they want a good value, but they want some luxury, get the TX. I think you won't be disappointed. And if you don't need the Lexus brand, then go and buy the Grand Highlander, because they're very similar. Okay, what else? Let me see if I can take a few more questions. Any news about the LX 700H? So that will be potentially LX with a 3.4 turbo with a hybrid. Same engine as the Tundra iForce Max, which is the truck I was driving 2 weeks ago. I heard it's happening, but I haven't heard anything about that, at least from the Japanese media. Nothing official from Lexus or Toyota, obviously. So perhaps at the next facelift of the LX, which will happen in a couple of years, maybe they'll have the LX 700H, and that could be a pretty amazing vehicle. I'm sure it'll be very expensive. Could there be a 3-row GX over-trail? I know a lot of people ask about that, but when I spoke to the chief engineer, he made it clear that over-trail's mission and the goal is to provide the driver with a maximum off-road capability, and the third seat is simply interference. Simply it's not needed. You're not going to carry six passenger when going overlanding. So that to me was a reply that meant there won't be a 3-row SUV. Sorry, there won't be a 3-row GX in the future. That's my guess anyway. Do I see improvement of a lead time for Toyota hybrids? Yes, from everything I heard, we're not quite back to normal yet, but way better than the last 2 or 3 years. I know people are still waiting for a long time for RAV4 hybrid or any other hybrid, and I think that's almost half the time compared to, let's say, a year ago or 2 years ago. And they're aiming to bring it back to normal, like before the pandemic, in the next 12 months or so. So I think by about a year from now on, you should be able to buy the hybrid. If not right off the lot, maybe with just a few months waiting instead of like a 1 year waiting right now. Danny, yeah, thank you so much. Give me some thumbs up. That'll be appreciated. I really do appreciate that. When the LX gets facelifted, would there be an over-trail LX? That's very possible. I do think that they want to push the over-trail brand across the board in Lexus lineup. The GX is the first one, and if it's successful in terms of the branding and the naming, I think they will bring the over-trail name up and down the model lineup. So that's very possible. When can we expect? You guys have a lot of questions on the GX. I'm supposed to be talking about the TX, but that's okay. When would there be a hybrid GX? They're pretty firm about not telling us anything no one from Lexus is able to give us even a hint. But my best guess is that they're waiting for the Land Cruiser hybrid to take off and allow the factory, which is a Tahara factory, to keep up with the demand, then introduce the GX hybrid. So I think it's probably like a year away. That would be my best guess anyway. Mike, I can't take the press car across the border, but I do have to get a letter from Toyota, which is what I had. Okay, so what else? I can take a couple more questions, and I'm going to probably head out just because it's the end of the day. Something about Justin asking about the headlight theft on a 2017 to 2022 RX left headlight. I haven't heard of that, so I don't know. But in general, there has been a lot of headlight theft where people just literally damage the body to try to grab the headlight. I don't know. Not much we can do from an engineer's perspective or manufacturing perspective to prevent that from happening. Hopefully the world gets better and with less crime. Alex, yeah, thank you so much for your comments from Puerto Rico. Great. I was in Puerto Rico about 6-7 years ago on a project, and I really loved the island. Beautiful place. Would love to visit there again. And you guys have some cars that we don't get in US or Canada. All right, so let me see if any last minute questions from you guys. Tundra question. Darcy said, I own a 2021 Tundra TRD Sport. Premium, in your honest opinion, do you think that value of the truck will appreciate if the mileage is kept extremely low? I mean, in general, regardless of the brand or the model, if your mileage is low, and so that is lower than the average mileage, which is like between 12,000 to 20,000 miles, or roughly same equivalent to kilometer per year, it doesn't necessarily appreciate, but it will keep better value. You'll get more resale value if you can keep the mileage low. That's always the case. So all right, so why don't I say goodbye for now? This is a bit of a trial for me to do something off the cuff, ad hoc, and do a bit of a car review of the TX, because I've done a full review already on the TX, and I thought maybe it'd be fun to do a live stream, talk about the TX, but also include GX and also a Grand Highlander, which is equivalent of the TX, but also comparing GX and Land Cruiser as well. So those are some fun stuff to do. And yeah, let me know in the comments below if you need anything else, or if you want me to do more of this type of kind of a very casual live stream review where you can ask all kinds of questions. And appreciate you guys taking the time. Give me the thumbs up. Talk to you guys again sometime soon. Peace out.